Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome. Welcome to this week's Thursday Tea Time Live. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay, as usual, because I need to check all the microphones, etc., are working. I'm streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. But if you're catching me a little later on the podcast, or if you are watching later on Facebook or YouTube, thank you for catching up on the catch-up. Please hit the thumbs up like button. I really do appreciate it. And comment if you're here, just say hi. And even after, if you're on the catch up, please still do comment, because I will go in and check comments. Now, I've been rushing around, so I haven't even had a sip of my tea yet. So you have to excuse me. I'm going to go for that in a minute. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can send need to get my words out properly today. You can send me a super chat or a super sticker, which would be greatly appreciated. It would liven up the chat window. Should look quite fun. If you're a YouTube member, remember you have your own emojis that you can use as well. So please please do that. I'd like to see that filled up. Welcome. We've got a few people joining now. Thank you so much. Welcome. We've got quite a bit again to cover today. Some fun stuff, hopefully. I've got a new member shout out that I'm going to do. And also, oh yes, I've got to show you what is inside here. These are my purchases ready for London next week. And I'm going to tell you all about what I'm doing in London and also show you what's in here. Sorry for those listening on the podcast, but don't worry, no one can see what's happening at the moment. I will explain it to you later. So I hope you're all settled in. You've got a suitable beverage in hand, warm, cold, whatever. Do you know, this time last year, it was warm enough to be outside in a bikini, actually, which was helping the whole lockdown, thing feel a little bit less awful. But this year, the weather's gone. It's all right. You haven't got as much to worry about this year, so we're just going to rain all the way through May, which is a bit of a bummer. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Phil. Hi. Is it Ron and Karen? So welcome. Yes, but it has been raining all week. It's been raining for ages, but I did get out this week, so I'm going to tell you all about that. Hi, Colleen. Welcome from California. I'm imagining you've got slightly better weather than we have here. I hope so. So I'm going to tell you all about the newest videos and podcasts I've got out, what we've been doing. I'd give you a little overview of what we always in California. I am jealous. Hi, Catherine. I was about to tell them about Bosworth in a moment. Catherine Brooks and I managed to get out into life slightly more normal outside of our own houses and got to Bosworth this week. So I'll tell you about that in a bit. But yeah, I'll be telling you about the newest videos I've got out and podcasts, what we've been covering on Clubhouse. Catherine and I are on Clubhouse, and we've been covering all sorts of topics this week. And I'll let you know what we've got coming up as well, or some of what we've got coming up, because I actually, hi Jane, thanks for joining. We've got lots coming up. Catherine shouted freedom. Did feel like that until it rained on us, but it was even that I was grateful for. What else? Oh yes, because I will be telling you about. So I will let you know what we're doing on Clubhouse, because it's if you're not on there, I've got some good news about Clubhouse, that it's open to everyone now. I'll go into that in a bit more in a bit. And then I promise I will show you what's in my bag, what I've bought especially for next week going away. So like I say, please feel free to leave me any comments, say hi. Thank you to those of you who are. It's greatly appreciated. I think the comments go further in getting videos out. That's what it seems, which is great. Because then more other history lovers who like to listen to me go on about history can join us, which is all good. So what did I want to tell you about? Right, yeah, let's do Bosworth, shall we first? So Catherine and I got to Bosworth. Now, my sister happened to ring me while we were there and said, "Oh, is the Bosworth Castle?" No, no, it's not a castle. Bless. Um, Obviously the Bosworth battlefield. So because it's outside, we knew it was somewhere that we would be able to go and get and have a walk together, because we don't live close, but we work on things together. So it's nice to meet up. And we had all weathers, possibly except snow. So it went from being really sunny, we were sat out having a nice coffee, because if you do live anywhere near Bosworth and you can get there, I imagine it's all going to be opening up very, very quickly now anyway. But they were doing takeaway coffees, and we also partake in some tea cakes and brownies. It wasn't the best day for nutrition, food wise, but good for the soul, most definitely. I have. Oh, Catherine will think this is funny how many times I tried to take a video of the flags. So you've got the standards that they have there next to the sundial. They've got this fabulous sundial garden there, and next to that are these huge standards flying. Well, of course, they need the wind to be whipped up quite high to get the whole standard to open out in the wind, because they are so large. And when I didn't have my camera trained on them, they did it, and as soon as I had my camera trained on them, the wind died down on at least one of them. But I have done my best, so I will. I'm going to have a look through what I got and put those on my Instagram reel, or put the best one on my Instagram reel, so you can see what the hell I'm talking about. But basically, Richard III and Henry VII's standards, because obviously that's where they clashed, and that's where Richard III lost his life, and where Henry VII gained the throne of England. So, but it was just lovely to be out. But it's one of many trips coming up, hopefully. Definitely away next week, because we will be at the Tower of London. Woohoo! So what else have I got? So I'm just in the process of uploading this week's patron post. So for my patrons this week, each month I do a historian interview. So we've got Gareth Russell on there already talking about Titanic. We've got Leslie Smith talking about Mary Queen of Scots, Matt Lewis talking about Ludlow Castle. And in fact, if you are a YouTube member, you can also get hold of the Matt Lewis interview. And you'll soon be able to get hold of the one that I uploaded today, which is Owen Emerson, Dr. Owen Emerson, who is the castle supervisor at Hever Castle. But that title just doesn't sort of cut it for me as for him, because he's a brilliant historian and very, very knowledgeable. And I interviewed him about the two Annes of Hever Castle. So for the purpose of this, yes, I've called Anne of Cleves, although I know there's not dispute over what her name should be. It's not a dispute, but I think the thinking is now that she would refer to herself as Anna, I think, if I'm right. But anyway, for the purposes of my interview with Owen, it was the two Annes of Hever Castle. So that will be available to patrons today, and a shorter version. So that's available for nobility patrons and above, and all other patrons who will get a shorter version, even on the lower tiers. But I got to ask him let me tell you what I got to ask him, because this will tell you whether you're interested in actually listening to it or not, because it was about an hour long. And I got to ask him obviously about things like the books of hours. They have two books of hours at Hever Castle that belong to Anne Boleyn. So I got to ask him about the provenance of those, because they're personal items. These are items that Anne would have had with her and interacted with on a daily basis. And not just that, but there's also, welcome Lorraine, thank you for joining. There's also what one looks like it was made for her. The other one, the thing is with books of hours, they would be passed down through the female line, for female to female, maybe aunt to niece, or that kind of thing. So there's not just the fact that Anne owned these books, but where they came from. So I got to ask him about those. Then in the if you've ever been to Hever Castle or seen it on the TV, you've got the Books of Hours room, which obviously takes its name from the fact they display the Books of Hours in there. And there's this tapestry on the wall, and it's one that for a long time has been purported to be the marriage of Mary Tudor, so Henry VIII's youngest sister, to the King of France, and that therefore Anne Boleyn and her sister Mary, as ladies in waiting to Mary, must have been in the tapestry. And so therefore, because we don't actually have any contemporary images of Anne that we know of that are definitely her, people want to pick out who Anne might be out of the tapestry. Anyway, there's a there's a lot more to that tapestry than that, and that's in there. So I get to ask him more about that. What we know of Anne at Hever. What do we actually know about her life at Hever? He got to tell me about that. Whether and when Henry visited, did he ever stay? Why have we got a Henry VIII bedroom? Why is that called that? And then, of course, that's just the Anne Boleyn part. And then we talked about Anne of Cleves, and the records of her at Hever actually start to give us a really good insight into her as a person. But also I got to ask her, well, did Elizabeth ever visit Anne of Cleves at Anne Boleyn's childhood home of Hever? So we got to talk about that. And I was also interested in if there was any evidence that Anne of Cleves ever mentioned Anne Boleyn. So we got to talk about all of that. And then the crunch question, is it Bullen or Boleyn? So we covered that as well. So yeah, it's about an hour-long interview, incredibly insightful and interesting, and that's available to patrons on the nobility tier and above, and the upper class patrons will get a shortened version of that. Which leads me to my shout out for the week, which is to Elizabeth, who's joined as an upper class member on my Patreon. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's fantastic to have you with us, and we've already been exchanging messages over on the Patreon post. So Colleen, did you ask about Anne Boleyn's ghost in the carriage? No, because I don't know anything about Anne Boleyn's ghost in the carriage. I'm not. There's so many ghost stories around things like headless women or carriages screaming, women in white, that kind of thing, and a lot of them. When you, well, I say a lot of them, the ones that I've heard of and then looked into, because it's fine. Hi, Kate. I don't not believe in ghosts. I'm very open-minded about it, but you find that a lot of them the stories would have originated around Victorian times, and we always have to bear in mind that the Victorians, a lot happened in terms of nostalgia for our history. I spoke about that when I spoke about statues the other week, and tourism. So people would begin to tour. I think it happened on some level anyway, but on a more more regular basis, people would go to places, old houses, and be shown around. And a lot of these ghost stories started to crop up, and I think they were definitely part of the story. Catherine, the Victorians were pretty melodramatic. They were they were melodramatic. They liked to make up a story. Do you remember I spoke, if any of you were here when I was talking about the Palace of Holyrood house up in Edinburgh and the Rizzio murder, and how the Victorian, they weren't room guides, they were people who worked at the house, as far as I remember, at the palace, and they would show people around. And when they were telling the story of the Rizzio murder, in order to add colour to this story, they had rubbed in red boot polish into the floor of the adjacent room to Mary Queen of Scots' bedchamber, where Rizzio was in fact stabbed and he was thrown down a staircase. He wasn't, I don't think, ever taking into the room that they have this red boot polish. But this is the kind of thing that they would do to create interest and intrigue and give people a good day out, I suppose. So, but I have stayed at Hever Castle a number of times on tour, and there are people have reported back things happening, mainly outside, actually, mainly in the garden. So, but it's whether it's back to Tudor times, or whether there's, it's a history with it's a history with a long castle. It's a castle with a long history. So yeah, don't know. There could be energies from all sorts of places, but there you go. So it was an ever so interesting interview. Obviously, I did it and I've just edited it, so I got to listen to it all over again. So it is well worth it if you want to join me there. And it will be available to YouTube members as well. So you've got the choice of joining me on YouTube or joining me on Patreon if you're interested in that. And last Thursday, all patrons got the blog I wrote about and the downfall of Anne Boleyn, but I called it about the unraveling of her life and how quickly it happened, and from I suppose more of a personal opinion article as opposed to the videos that I've done, which you can all get hold of on my YouTube channel. There are it's part 3 is now available, and it's the charting the downfall of Anne Boleyn. Part 1, part 2, and part 3 went live yesterday. It's also available on the podcast. And there will be the final part next week, where I talk about obviously the run up to her execution, and then the aftermath as well. Now, I said I would give you some good news about Clubhouse. So I know quite a few of you are following myself and Catherine and Sarah, the Tudor Travel Guide. And ciao, Monica. Thank you for joining from Italy. And who did I miss out? Oh, and Kat Marchant, who's reading she's got the Reading the Past channel on YouTube. So we're all on Clubhouse working together. We have 2 clubs called one's called the History and Culture Club, and one is called the Tudor History Club. And I know many of you have got onto Clubhouse, but if you were on a Android phone, you were not able to get on. Well, apparently now you can, or at least it will be very, very soon if you can't. So it's worth trying. Now, I was going to try and do something funky and get the link. I don't know if Catherine, what you're up to on Facebook at the moment, whether you can put the link to Clubhouse in the comments on Facebook, and I will do the same on YouTube later. But yeah, so if you're on your mobile, whether it's Android or iPhone now, if you click the link, it should be able to take you through to Clubhouse, and you can skip the queue, skip the invite list, and get in onto Clubhouse and follow. I think you may join via our clubs, whichever club that we've sent the link to you for. And then, yeah, you can come on and you can join in all these live chats. So it is just live chats. Last night, Catherine, myself and Kat were talking satire. So we have on a Wednesday evening our History After Dark room, where in Kat's words, we sometimes get a bit spicy. She likes the word spicy, but it does kind of cover it. And we might be talking about something that's a bit more gory than we would talk in the day, or thanks, Catherine, or rude. We've done all sorts of stuff, like how do you wee in one of those? Oh, well, I've talked to you a lot about it already. How do you wee when you're in one of those massive court dresses of the Georgian period? Yes, Jane. So hopefully, if we, I'll get the link on, or Catherine will get the link on, and have a go. You'll need to be on your mobile because it'll send you through to the. I presume, I can't remember, it's been so long since I joined now that I think it sends you through to the App Store. So, and it's rolling out region by region to Android. So very soon, there'll be no excuse. You'll have to go. You'll definitely be on there listening to us. Well, listen to us and doing and coming up, that's the thing on Clubhouse, you can come and actually chat. So it's not just one way at all. So Catherine, Catherine's just reminded me, we did rude place names in History After Dark quite a few weeks ago now. And, we were expecting we all did our own little bits of research. We never know what each other's going to say. And we all do our own bits of research, and I was expecting lots of places with bottom in the title. And well, Catherine just, I think you won the prize for coming up with the funniest one. So she found a place called Muff, and went through brilliantly explaining the how that name was derived, and then just at the end dropped in that that Muff, the town, has a diving club. So for any of you who understand that joke, I'm not going to explain it. I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't, but it was very funny. But anyway, that's our History After Dark club. If you can if you can stomach that kind of humor. So yeah, last night we were talking about satire, and the Georgians came up a lot, of course, because there was Kat was explaining to us there was a lapse in clean like that. There was a lapse in the laws around what would you call, well, around satire, around like libel and that kind of thing. Although not exactly libel, because the caricaturists got around it by using slightly different names or puns on names, or obviously they were drawing people and they would depict them in different ways, but it was perfectly obvious who they were talking about. And it's just, satire is a way of highlighting shortcomings or absurdities, and of course it was directed at people. Welcome, Christine. It was directed at people who were in charge, and the Georgians, a lot of this was directed at the Prince Regent, who became George IV, because they were really badly behaved. Him and his brothers were, and the whole family was, well, the whole family. I shouldn't tar them all with the same brush, but they were badly behaved. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to read out Michael's comment in a minute. So of course they were ripe for satire, because this bad behaviour, spending loads of money, lots of girlfriends, let's call them that, partying, drinking, building projects that didn't really have a budget for it. It was all on public money. So they were satirized to highlight the bad behavior. So it's comedy, but Catherine, yeah, if you do for the event, I think if you do for the Tower of London event next week, I think there's loads of invites included in that one. I'll tell you about, I'll just read out Michael's comment, and then I'll tell you about the events that we've got on in Clubhouse next week. Well, some of them, because actually there's going to be even more that we've still got to sort out some timings for and things. Michael says flat pack furniture was invented so the French monarchy could move from palace to palace. They had a very unsanitary habit of weeing in the rooms, and after a while the palace began to smell. I don't think it was just the French during the time of Louis XV. Yeah, I don't think it was just the French, because the place Colleen sick face emoji. The place I learned about the whole how you wee in a mantua. So these are those very, very wide dresses, and the thing is, you weren't allowed to leave the room. I don't know what the monarch themselves did, but nobody else was allowed to leave the room. So I don't really know why, when they left the room for a wee, why everyone else, I suppose there's no toilets. Anyway, you didn't do it, and you just, and and these little servant boys would have to come up with because do you remember the gravy boat conversation? Thank you. So Catherine has now put on Facebook, sorry for those on YouTube, but on Facebook Catherine has now put the link to Clubhouse. So see, well, not while I'm talking, obviously. Well, just don't go anywhere. Have a go in a minute and see if it works. Yeah, and these little boys with, well, I say little boys, the servant boys with these, what I'll call gravy boats, would come, and apparently the women would have to clench them between their thighs while weeing, while standing up, while still having a conversation. I mean, talk about multitasking. So Colleen says their clothes had to smell. I think they smelled anyway. I mean, they weren't. I say they smell. I don't mean as in people smelt, but their clothes were. Oh, Catherine, thank you very much. She's going to try and get it onto YouTube as well. People. Yeah, you can't. Well, you can't just obviously. Really glamorous, yeah. You can't just put these things in the washing machine. That's why they changed their undergarments, which were made of just basic material. So they would change their undergarments. They didn't wear knickers, of course. So this made this whole thing a lot easier. Anyway, how did we get onto that? That wasn't what I was intending on talking about, but anyway, there you go. Oh, Clubhouse, that was it, wasn't it? Oh, so yeah, so History After Dark. So come along to that room because it is funny. And like I say, you're welcome in any of the rooms. We have specials occasionally where we'll have historians come in and talk, and so it is more of a talk, but then there's always a chance to ask questions, and then others are just discussions. So Friday at 5:00 London time, we'll be doing it's just a discussion room about where's everyone looking forward to going to historical places, with everything opening up a bit more now and everything. Where's everyone looking forward to either going to for the first time or getting back to? So that's going to be Friday. Sunday, so Sarah Morris, myself, and Deb Royal, who's from Tudor Times, we've got this travelling Tudor Britain room on a Sunday at 4:00, and we're talking about the Tower of London, because it's all very Anne Boleyn focused at the moment, because we are in the run-up to her execution, and there's lots of events that were happening. So almost daily there's something, hence why I'm on part 3 of charting the downfall of Anne Boleyn on my YouTube videos. And then, yeah, so, please feel free to join us for that. And then Monday at 5:00, we have got, sorry, not this Friday. Just what am I on about? Monday just gone. We were talking about the 5 men who were executed along with Anne Boleyn. Now, how do you feel about this? We came to the conclusion that we don't cover them enough, actually. So when in the downfall of Anne Boleyn, it's like they are a side story, and I suppose if we're focusing on Anne Boleyn, you could argue they are just part of the story, but of course everyone is the main character in their own story. And you had 5 men who were executed along with Anne. You had a further 2 who were arrested and kept in the Tower, another one who was arrested but probably was a red herring, he was let go really quickly. So we felt there should be more. Well, we wanted to give them more focus than we had been, and so we did a room about them on Monday, talking about who they were and what their story was, how they got involved, or how they found themselves involved in this plot, effectively, against Anne, and what happened to them. So, so we did our bit a little bit anyway, and then I can't remember what else we've got. It's all going to be Anne based. So. On Colleen, well timed. Thank you for your question. Will I be at the Tower on the 19th? Yes, I will. So I won't be doing this live this time next week, because I will still be in London. I'm going down to do some filming, some research, but to be at the Tower on the 19th. Indeed, I will be doing a live walk around for my patrons. If you want to join my Patreon, I don't know if I've ever mentioned that I have it, but you can join me there live, and we are doing a live clubhouse. And this is exciting. On the evening, instead of our History After Dark room, because the times clashed, we have Tracy Borman joining us on Clubhouse. She's joined Clubhouse especially, and she's going to be coming on and doing an hour with us next Wednesday night to talk about Anne Boleyn. So you see, we've got a lot going on. Look out on my Instagram, because I will share what we've got coming up. You can also check out Sarah Morris's Instagram. She's at the Tudor Travel Guide. Catherine is on Instagram, the Tudor Tracker, and Cat Marchant at Cat Marchant. So you can have a look at what we've got coming up, because we've got I think we're doing almost a room a day about Anne next week. Michael, I have a distant relative who's from the Butler family that was related to the Boleyn family. The connection is on my mother's Irish side. Woof. Good research. It's interesting, family trees, isn't it? I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but before I forget, Catherine has a room on Sunday, and she's interviewing Heather Darcy about Anne of Cleves. So she's on at 3:00 for an hour, and then Sarah and I'll be on at 4 with Deb. Will be on at 4:00. So even if you just have us on in the background, you're more than welcome to come in and listen in. There's no pressure about coming up on stage, by the way, ever. But if you want to, then you absolutely are welcome to. Family trees. We tried with ours. Well, my dad did. I haven't got time. He's retired, and it's really hard. And our family didn't move around very much, so I'm in awe, actually, of people who've managed to get much further back, because it is really difficult. So you've read Heather's book on Anna? See what I mean about Anna? Heather refers to her as Anna. So I'm happy to go with that. But for the purposes of my interview with Owen, it was the two Annes of Hever. Otherwise, it'd be Anne and Anna of Hever. And it just didn't go so well. But anyway, so it's a good interview. What else? So what did I say? Friday, we've got that coming up. Sunday, Catherine's got her in with Heather. And then I've talked about my YouTube, so you can see all those videos about Anne, and the final one will be out next week. They're all available on the podcast as well, so you can just listen. I know a lot of people catch up in the car and listen, so they prefer the podcast, so they all are on the podcast as well. So I'm going down to London. Hi, Marion. No, thank you for joining. Don't worry about being late. I'm not taking a register. I'm just happy you're here. Because I should have been on tour on Sunday with a lovely group of people when we were supposed to be doing the Anne Boleyn experience, which is a really popular tour. And that should have been the first one for this year, should have been starting on Sunday. And as part of the Anne Boleyn experience, we do it a few times a year, but the May one, 19th of May, we're at the Tower. Boom. Because it's the Anne Boleyn experience, and that is the anniversary of her execution there. So we do that, and we also go up to Tower Hill, the execution site, the scaffold site. That was a more permanent execution site. We go up there to pay our respects to the men as well. So, but obviously, no. The thing is that we didn't have enough time. We need a lot of lead-in time for tours. Obviously, people have to sort out flights, and obviously there's a lot of arrangements from my side. So it wasn't going to be possible. And actually, we've got to this point, and now we know it. People aren't able to travel still into the country very easily, and we wouldn't be able to go around in a group. So it was the right call, but it's very sad and Colleen, I would love to invite you, welcome you onto the Anne Boleyn experience. It will all kick off again properly. It's just taking a lot longer, I think, than any of us anticipated. But it's brilliant. And of course, we get to stay at Hever. I've got some fabulous things that we're adding to the tours from next year to make them even more exciting and cool. So I'll be able to give more details of that when they're all firmly in place. But can't wait to get going again. You might also all be interested in, I've got another few videos about Anne. Anne Boleyn at the Tower is one. I've got one with when Claire Ridgway and I were there together a few years ago, we did a live, so you'll have to excuse please the sound quality, but we did busting some myths about Anne Boleyn at the Tower, so that's a video that's there. And I've done a virtual tour of Hever as well. Now the Hever one it's just a free one that I've put on my YouTube. There will be a more in-depth one that I'm doing on Patreon in the next, well, it'll be the third quarter of the year, I think. And that one we go in and do a bit more detail, but anyway, those are the ones that are there for you if you want. So yeah, so just to remind you, no Tea Time Live next week, but I'll be live on Clubhouse with Catherine and Cat Marchant from the Tower. I'll be doing a live for my patrons from the Tower, and also sorry Michael, I've just realized you asked me a question and it's gone. Look out for me on the Thursday. My intention is, and it does depend on the weather, is to take is to do an Instagram live at the to show you the Elizabeth I statue at St Dunstan's, the one I spoke about a couple of weeks ago. And but it is weather dependent a bit, because if it's chucking it down with rain, you won't be able to hear me speak. I've tried it before, even with an umbrella, and it's obviously, it sounds like I'm in a tent. But anyway, we'll see. Maybe I'll just give it a go, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if you don't follow me on Instagram already, I'm just at British_history_tours. So do that, and then I think you'll get a notification if I'm going live, and it'll be there on my feed, even if you don't catch it. And I might do that from a few different places. I've got a list basically of places that I probably haven't got a hope in hell of getting to all of them, but I will give it a go in order to get some videos for you, and do a bit more. I mean, I'm always on the lookout for new research. So in terms of visiting places and how to get the best out of places. So I'll be doing that. Yes, and just to remind you, Tracy Borman. Did I mention we have Tracy Borman visiting us? Thank you very much to Sarah Morris, who managed to set that up. So Tracy will be with us for an hour next Wednesday to talk about Anne. I've got another couple of videos that are available already as well on YouTube that I've put out in the last week. One is what is VE Day? VE Day. I said that was all one word then. What is VE Day? It's like I said before, they're all short because they're as interesting, because you might know what VE Day is and all about it, so you don't need to watch it. But the idea is, obviously, if there's, I don't know, school kids or someone who's like, well, what actually is VE Day? That kind of thing. So that's on there. Michael says, do you Tudor fans have any pity for poor Richard III? Well, I don't know that I've talked about this before, actually. I don't. The problem with being a fan is you would block out any. The temptation is, and you do see this, to block out anything that's bad about the person you like and anything that's good about their opposite. And life just isn't like that. People aren't like that. So no, I mean, I know we talk about the Tudors a lot on here. Well, I talk about the Tudors a lot, but they're definitely not my only area of interest. So do I have any, and I love talking about Richard III. So do we have any pity for poor Richard? The stories are what they are. And then people can draw their own conclusions as to who they would support. It's like now, isn't it? It's like real life now. Catherine is the world's only Tudor Ricardian. Catherine, she actually is. So no, I don't know. I don't really fall on any particular side. I just don't really see history. I don't really see life like that, to be honest. So, Marion, do you ever talk about the Edwardian King Edward the Seventh? I have I've got a monarchy series that I have planned out and I'm now in the process of filming, and so that is covering the power changes or changeovers from every monarch, from William through to our current monarch. And also be doing a bonus episode as to what will happen next. But if I don't hurry up, we'll know what happens next. And one of those interviews actually that I've already done, is around Victoria and Edward. And then on to the abdication crisis after that. Yes. So yes, I do cover it all. If you look at my YouTube videos, they are of all sorts of stuff. It just isn't. It isn't just Tudor at all. So done VE Day. The other one that's on there at the moment is that's gone on this week is William Wilberforce. This is the anniversary of the first time he stands up in Parliament. And talks about, I just committed treason. I just referred to the death of the monarch. I'm sorry, I've just committed treason. They're coming for me. Sorry. So the other video that's available is William Wilberforce stands up in Parliament for the first time to it's the beginning of the end of slavery and slave ownership and slave trading from the UK or from Britain. And he is very pragmatic. I talk about this in the video. It wasn't standing up there and saying we need to abolish this right now, it's abhorrent. That's what he knew to be true. He also knew that if Catherine will be at the Tower for a few days. If you don't see me after next Wednesday, you'll know what's happened. Okay, it's just said the same. You're off to the Tower. Yeah, willingly. Maybe I've got this all wrong. So William stands up, but he knows that practically to get anything done, he is going to have to do it step by step, and it's going to have to be through persuasion. So I talk about that in the video. And then how long after that things actually happened. So please check that out. I've got one coming up, which I think is going live on the weekend, about why, how and when and why we adopted British summertime. Now, I think America, you do that. I think on the continent they do that. I don't know down in Australia if you do that. But this, obviously this changing the hour in the spring and the autumn. And I think I open up the video with the video with talking about how this, the only time British people use the word fall for autumn is that rhyme, spring forward, fall back, to try and remember which way round we have to move the clocks. Marion, thank you. I'll be looking forward to it. Love the movie Amazing Grace. Great movie. Oh, I've not seen it. Oh, is that one to add to my list then, Marion? Colleen, the shorts are great. Do you mean the shorts that I do on YouTube? Because I've been a bit rubbish and not done for a couple of weeks. But if you're enjoying them, I will do more. So yes, and just as a reminder to YouTube members, not only will you have the Owen interview, but you already have the Matt Lewis interview available to you as well. Kate, I literally took it as falling backwards. Well, yes. Well, that's the double meaning, isn't it? Spring forward, fall back. I do that. I've used words, sayings for years, and then someone will explain it to me, and I was, oh, found out apparently why Sudocrem. Anyone use Sudocrem when they were like either spotty teenagers or on their babies' bums? And I found out yesterday, apparently, why Sudocrem is called Sudocrem. Anyone know? I might have it wrong, but this is what I've heard. I think it was made originally, I don't know where they make it now, in Dublin, I think, Southern Ireland. And it is, okay, Marion, thank you. Oh, right, yes, I get you. Yes, sorry. The Amazing Grace film, yes. Yes, I will watch that. And I've completely lost my train of thought, sorry. Oh my goodness, that's not bad. I've got to 45 minutes without losing my train of thought. Yeah, totally lost it. Sorry, no idea what I was talking about. I need to show you. Remind me if it was anything interesting. I'll go back. So, I don't know if I've mentioned to you, but I'm going down to London next week. So I've bought myself some stuff. And now you're going to be like, you're definitely just a Tudor fan. I'm not. But look, I've got an Anne Boleyn bee necklace phone case so that I don't drop my phone, because I love my phone. I've got a new phone. And I love Sudocrem. That was it, Kate. I will get back to it then. Oh, God, what am I like? So I will probably drop my phone if I'm not careful. Anyway, so it gives me nice grip. But look at that. My daughter designed that, in fact. So this is available on my Redbubble shop, which is Redbubble/people. Don't know why that has to be in the middle, /British history. You can find that. So Sudocrem apparently is the way that they say soothing cream. And that's where the name came from. Simple as that. I don't know if I need it confirmed. I got that from my son, who's really interested in Irish history. Knows far more about it than I do. I wouldn't dare pretend I know anything about it. But yeah, so Sudocrem, the way they pronounce soothing cream. There you go. And this is the other thing that I wish I didn't have to buy. And maybe I'll frame it one day. What do you think? Guinness cream, Michael. Do you know, when I went to Dublin, my only time I've managed to go to Dublin, so I must go again. Kate's like, I'm going to look that up. Yeah, please do fact check me. The only time I've been to Dublin, I was so ill, not because of anything that happened in Dublin. I think I ate a bad sausage at the canteen at work the day before I went. Anyway, I was really poorly. And the only thing I managed to do the whole weekend, and this weekend had been planned for months, but anyway, the only time I got out of my hotel room, we went to a pub. I thought I felt a bit better. We went to a pub, and this guy behind the bar said, I've been really ill, like, not to put too fine a point on it. And of course he gave me Guinness. He was like, this will sort you out. Well, it didn't make me feel any worse. But unfortunately I wasn't any better either. So full on call the doctor out and everything. But anyway, here's the other thing I've bought. My mask. What do you think? Now, masks don't really fit on my face. But Catherine gave me a good tip yesterday. So these are all through Redbubble, like I say, my Redbubble shop, but they're all the same size, regardless of whose design you buy. The sizes are all the same. So if you've got a little face like me, and when you put on a mask, it sort of hangs off your chin and hangs off your jowls. Then there's a sort of under 13s mask. Apparently, Catherine says that fits her face. So if you've got a slightly smaller face, you might, I'll leave it up to your discretion, but you might want to go for the smaller, basically the child's mask. Because when I put mine on, it kind of It's not too bad, but I feel muzzled. Yeah, there you go. So this is I could breathe now. I've taken it off. This is my daughter's design. So yeah, the bee necklace. She drew that, and it's on a variety of things. Please do check it out. 13 plus size. Sorry, Catherine says it is. There's different sizes, so have a look at 13 plus size might suit you better. But yes, it's on all sorts of things. You don't have to get a mask. You can you get a scarf, you get a cushion. Anyway, redbubble.com/people/British history. There's loads of stuff on there. I say loads. I've got more designs to put on there as well. I spoke about Richard III. Thanks, Dad. And the sundial at Bosworth. That I've got a design with that on there as well. There's a couple of Elizabeth I designs ofs. What else have I got on there? Durdle Door. Anyone been to Durdle Door in Dorset? That's on there. I love Italy. So that looks a bit random on there, but I couldn't resist. I've got a fabulous picture of a Vespa in a Trastevere street. So that's on there. Florence view, a view of Florence. I've got the Anne Boleyn. There's a boat. At Hever Castle, there's a lake, and there's boats on this lake, little rowing boats that you can take out. And I got a great picture of the boat with Anne Boleyn written on the side. So that's there as well. So please do take a look. Club Star Wars. What's your favourite period in British history? Love your videos, by the way. Very informative. Thank you very much. Michael. I'm not going to read that out. You can. Anne Boleyn didn't need a mask. Well, she did say she didn't need a mask after the 19th. No, you are true. You are right. My favourite period in British history. So I think it's one of those things, the more you find out about something, the more you find out how interesting it is. Yeah. So the reason I think people are drawn to Tudor history, well, I think there's many reasons. And a lot of it has to be down to the fact that we see a lot of it, I think, as well. It is dramatized a lot. It's in, we see a lot of images. It looks great because the clothing was great, and they fit a fat lot in, didn't they, into 113 years, changing the religious setup, changing the social setup, changing the landscape. It all went through. So obviously there's that. I actually love the Roman period of British history. I was asked, or we were talking about where would we like to, or what place would we like to see in all its glory? Because obviously we've lost a lot of places over history, and you've got places like Nonsuch Palace, we've got nothing left, Whitehall Palace, places like that. I would love to see, and there aren't any here, Roman villa or Roman bathhouse. Luckily I can normally pop over to Italy, and in Rome you can go to a bathhouse just outside Rome. It's not totally complete, but it's more complete than any of than we have. I know we've got Bath, but it's not exactly the same. Anyway, so Roman history, Roman British history, I love. I want to do more on the English Civil Wars, because this idea that there was just thanks Doug for doing that. Doug's put the link to my shop in the comments in the comment section on Facebook. Kate has fact checked my Sudocrem fact, and my son was correct. So for any of you who've just joined, Sudocrem, that cream that you use on your baby's bum, and the name of it, welcome everyone, the name of Sudocrem comes from the fact that where they make it in Dublin, or where they did make it in Dublin, that is how they pronounce soothing cream. There you go. Colleen says the Tudors are interesting because Henry VIII was such a tyrant. Hello, Dr. Cat. Yeah, Dr. Isn't she fab? I love working with Cat. He was a tyrant. I mean, he's not by any stretch of the imagination the only one we've had in charge, and they're not, depending on your viewing viewpoint, they're not they weren't only in history, in far history either. So what else we've got? Michael, I'd like to see a video about the pathology behind Henry VIII's jousting accident and his change in character. So we've talked, on various, we talk about this quite a lot in on tour actually, and how Henry VIII changed. I have a blog which I wrote a while ago. Is it still there? I wrote one about pain. And I think there's always a running theme when something big happens, or something bad happens. As humans, we need a big reason and a big solution. Okay, so Henry VIII was a tyrant, and we want to pin it to some. It's just natural. We want to pin it to some event. We want a reason why, and it needs to be a big thing, like a an actual change in his brain sort of idea. And I'm not saying it's not. However, if any of you have ever lived with constant pain, you will know that you have very little capacity to do it for anything else emotionally. It's like, because I used to suffer very, very badly with my back, extremely badly, and it had crept up over years as well. So it was my normal, and it was. I would describe it as you were sort of up to here. Anyone listening on the podcast, I've got my fingers to almost the top of my head. So anything else at work, any problems, anything else, you're like, boom, you're off. That's it. That your capacity is taken up all day, every day. You're probably not sleeping. So people in the hi Debbie, people in the chat are agreeing with me here. Chronic pain does make you a different person. It limits you emotionally, psychologically, to just tolerate anything else. It doesn't necessarily make you a tyrant, don't get me wrong, but Henry was showing signs of that callousness and coldness the whole of his reign anyway. He got rid of his father's counsellors from the beginning, but he got there was the way he treated the Carthusian monks who didn't agree with him. Well, look at how he dealt with anyone who didn't agree when he wanted to divorce or annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Michael says the problem is we judge people in the past using our own standards. Most of the kings in medieval times murdered to keep their thrones. Yeah, I'm trying to think of one who didn't. Actually. Well, so this is why I wanted to do the monarchy series, because there's all these other things. It didn't just go from one to one to one to, well, very rarely just from a father to son without something else happening. Somebody else either dying by accident or design. Yeah, so it's really interesting. Clean chronic pain is like wearing a big wet blanket, heavy and constant. Totally. And I don't, so my blog was about that. It wasn't saying the reason Henry VIII was like this was because he was in pain. It was saying, what if Henry VIII was like that because he was in constant pain? Because what I like to try and do is, I'm not, ever coming across or trying to be I'm not a scholar in any of this. What I want to do is open up people's minds to understanding history in a way that just potentially you haven't thought about before. We can use our own experiences today to understand people in the past. Leslie Smith always says, when Mary Queen of Scots, when she was staying at Tutbury Castle, salt tasted like salt on her tongue was like salt on your tongue. They are people. They were the same. They're not just stories. So we can dare to try and understand them, and we will all probably come to slightly different conclusions, as we would about talking about somebody who is alive today, somebody who we think we have far more access to information about them, or even directly to them. You would find that we would have slightly different viewpoints potentially as to what their motivations were, what they actually loved doing, who they hated, why they hated them. It's humans and human nature, and that's been in the past. But they wear different things, and they had different standards, and we're always changing those standards, though, aren't we? We're always changing what we think is acceptable and not acceptable. Anyway, getting a bit deep. So please do check out the Redbubble shop if you're interested. Like I say, there's loads with this lovely Anne Boleyn necklace design. Oh, I am looking forward to getting rid of the masks, though, aren't you? I don't know how many you've managed to accrue during this time, but I'm wondering whether to make a blanket. Some kind of either we have to cut them up, burn them, or something, or make a nice little blanket with them. Depends how many you've got. So I do hope you will join me on Clubhouse. No excuse now. Android, it should be good. It should be fine for you to get on now. If not, just keep trying, because they are rolling it out in different they call it territories, but basically different regions and countries. Doug wants a bonfire of them. Yeah, I think I'm with you. So join me on Clubhouse. I'm at Philippa B on Clubhouse, so you can follow me as a person there, as well as follow the clubs, the History and Culture Club and the Tudor History Club. And look out for me on Instagram next week. I might just be popping on, and so I can't give you an exact time. Like I say, it depends on sort of the weather and things like that. I'll if I'm caught out in the rain, I'll be waiting to do it. So, but I would like to take you to that Elizabeth I statue at St Dunstan's. If you're in my Patreon, then I will be taking you around the tower as much as is possible, live next Wednesday. And look out on my Instagram for basically, that's where I post information about the most about what I'm doing and what I'm up to. Oh, and before I go, I was going to say, check out my Instagram for I put some pictures of Hatfield, which is Hatfield House. We did a room on Sarah, Deb and I. We did a room about Hatfield last Sunday. So I've put lots of pictures of Hatfield House and the old palace on my Instagram. So check those out as well. But for now, I think we've broken the hour mark. Is that the first time? I think it is. So thank you ever so much, everyone, for joining me. I will see you in a fortnight, if not before. Fortnight, 2 weeks. I'm not sure who uses the word fortnight. I do. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It's been great. Thank you for keeping me company. Yes, so I'll see you in a fortnight, if not before. And take care of yourselves. Have fun, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you all soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.